Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to we've only got a couple days left edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. September the 25th, Thursday morning. It's a train shot Thursday to start our show. Sun is out, going to be a beautiful day. And for those that have postseason teams that are still alive, still have a chance to make it, I know you're feeling pretty good this morning. As for the rest of us that are clinging to it or on the outside looking in, it's going to be a long couple days for those following in baseball. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. Welcome to our Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic on this 25th day of September. A lot to get to today, including we mentioned it's Hall of Fame weekend tomorrow. North Dakota State, part of its great homecoming traditions with the game is the announcement of its annual Hall of Fame class, which is loaded. Last year was a star-studded one. This one may not have the stars on it, but some pretty darn good ones, and you'll get to visit with one of them today. Really excited to have Craig Dahl on our show coming up before we wrap things up today after a Super Bowl winning career in the National Football League that spanned 9 years with 4 different teams. He was a dynamite player here in the early days of the Division I era. Part of that first Great West team that won a championship in 2006, that dynamite Bison team that's nearly 20 years old. That's coming up later on in our show. NFL week begins tonight with week number 4 with a good one in the NFC West with Seattle and Arizona. We'll get to that coming up later on in the show. And as I mentioned off the top, you know, we're on the doorstep of another big high school football weekend. The games we got coming up here in town, we don't get the reigning big school state champions in Minnesota to come here, ever. Flat out. So when we got the schedule back in April, I want to say, that Moorhead, who the Spuds were going to get, and we were eagerly anticipating that, knowing full well the Spuds were moving up to the top division, that Eden Prairie is going to be on it. Edina was going to be on it. Minnetonka was going to be on it. And Maple Grove was going to be on it. And they are in Moorhead this weekend. Their head coach is going to join us coming up later on in the show. Team last year, they had 7 Division I commits. I believe 4 of them came to Fargo. 3 went to Grand Forks. This year, their starting quarterback is committed to the Jackrabbits. They have their top cornerback is coming to Fargo next year. So, yeah, there's some dudes. Looking forward to that conversation coming up later on in our show. But let's start with the drama that's going on. We have 4 days to go in the Major League Baseball season. As far as I can tell, we have a division race that is completely flipped on its head. We've got 1 wild card spot up for grabs in the National League. That is pretty much what's up for grabs in terms of who's going to clinch it. Now, seed-wise, we have no idea, which, again, if you're in the party, if you're a fan of the 12 teams that are going to play next week, more power to you. If you're a team that's on the outside looking in, you can't wait. Baseball season probably ended a long time ago, like for the Twins, who officially lost their 90th game of the season last night. Let's start in the National League, where right now, the final week of the season makes for strange bedfellows. That's all I'll say. Because last night, as a fan of the New York baseball team that plays in the National League, I had to root for the Pirates and I had to root for the Dodgers because the Mets got clobbered last night in Chicago. New York started the night with a 1-game lead in the National League wildcard race. Jonah Tong, who theoretically could have been pitching here in Fargo, not a great night for the rookie. got pulled early. Pete Crow Armstrong. Why can't the Mets find players like him? They traded for Javi Baez. He reaches on a bad throw from Mark Vientos. It went from bad to worse. Later in the inning, Clay Holmes throws a 58-footer. PCA is going to come all the way around and score. Comedy of errors for the Metropolitans last night. Bottom of the sixth, Michael Bush up at the plate. Carl Ravitch couldn't figure out his name. It's not Matthew, it's Michael. It's a 2-run home run. The Cubs blast the Mets 10-3, so they could not pick up any ground last night. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, if the Reds could win, they would leapfrog the Mets for the final playoff spot. Bottom of the ninth, they're down 2-1 until this is blasted out from Tyler Stevenson. He ties the game for Cincinnati at 2. We go to the top of the 11th. Spencer Horwitz leading off, lines it to right center. Brian Reynolds will come in and score. How about the Pirates? We get Pirate highlights on Hot Mic in the final week of the season. It's 4-3. Now, last chance for Cincinnati. They have the bases loaded. The Pirates stink. And this is what happens. A ground out to end it, and Pittsburgh beats the Reds for the second night in a row. The Pirates have lost 90 games. So the Pirates help out the Mets. Okay, Dodgers, Diamondbacks. If Arizona, though, could win, they would leapfrog and take the final spot in the National League. Little small ball here against the Dodgers to tie the game in the bottom of the 8th. Clayton Kershaw is pitching in the bottom of the 9th. Gets this a line. Remember, the Diamondbacks sold all their players. That's a fabulous catch in center to keep the game tied from Tommy Edman, who was the National League Championship Series MVP against the Mets last year. He delivers in the 11th with a base hit to score. Freddie Freeman makes it 5-4. Alec Thomas is the last hope for the Diamondbacks in the bottom of the 11th. He strikes out, and the Dodgers win it. So after all of that, here's where we're at in the National League. The Mets still hold the final spot simply by default because nobody else could win last night. The Diamondbacks and the Reds are still a game back. The Padres and Cubs are in. The Dodgers, Phillies, and Brewers are in. It really looks like Milwaukee's going to get the number 1 spot unless there's a total collapse by the Brewers in the final 3 games of the regular season. You look at the race here. So the Mets play the Cubs today. Wrap it up. Diamondbacks have another one with the Dodgers, and the Reds and the Pirates play an afternoon game. So the Mets will know where they're at later this afternoon. Just a dynamite night of baseball, and basically because nobody can win. This is what happens in the final week of the season. Literally, I have not watched a Pirates game all year. I was cheering for the Pirates last night after this. The Mets are getting clobbered at Wrigley. Oh, man, it's just dynamite. So that's the National League. Now, in the American League Central, go back and watch the tape in July 10th. I called the division race over. Detroit was up by 1 billion games on Cleveland and everybody else. Actually, it was 15.5. As you wake up this morning, there is a new division leader in the American League Central, and it's the Cleveland Guardians because they keep on winning. Last night, they did it again against the Tigers, up 2-1. They add to it on this Stephen Kwan hit. Gets a base hit, makes it a 3-1 Cleveland lead. Bottom of the 7th, Brian Rocchio up at the plate. Ball is popped up. This is how it's going for the Tigers. Dylan Dingler drops the ball. What are you doing? Went to the Dom Izzo School of Catching. And it got worse because, of course, what do you think's going to happen? Jose Ramirez with the bases loaded comes through. That scores 2. When you're losing games, you find ways to lose. Guardians do it again. They beat the Tigers 5-1. And now Cleveland leads the American League Central by 1 game with 4 to go. This is a reminder, folks. Detroit was up 15.5. They were up 10 games to start September. This is one of the most epic collapses you will ever see. The Tigers just cannot get out of their own way. They had their best guy going, and Corey Provis told us this, and this is why he's a great baseball mind. He said it back in early September. If the Tigers lose the games that Tarek Skubal starts, they're not going to go anywhere. Well, they lost last night when Skubal started, and now they're in real trouble. A game back with 4 to go. On the other side of the continent, party going on in Seattle. Congratulations to our guy Drew. The Mariners are going to the postseason. We knew that, but for the first time in 24 years, they are a division champion. Last night, Cal Raleigh made American League history. This is a moonshot for his 59th home run of the season. Make it a 1-zip Seattle lead. I'm just going to show this to rub it in on Twins fans. Jorge Polanco. Why can't the Twins find players like him? That's his 25th home run of the season. The Mariners have 4 guys with 25 bombs. How's that trade working out, Minnesota? Yikes. Raleigh got another chance later in this game, sitting on 59. This is a looper down the right field line. We're going to have a great debate, at least for us baseball nerds, on who should be the MVP. It's that guy. You take Cal Raleigh out of the Mariners, how good are they? You take Aaron Judge off the Yankees, they're still pretty good. Here it is, history. That's number 60. He is the 4th player in American League history to hit 60 home runs in a season. Here's the list. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Aaron Judge, and now Cal Raleigh. That's a pretty good list if you're a fan of baseball. Mariners were boat racing the Rockies at that point. It was 8-1. Seattle is going nuts. I mean, they are a great baseball city. We mentioned it last week of the tremendous players they've had in their history and never have been to the World Series. They got a heck of a chance. Win last night. They celebrated again. First division title since 2001 when they won 116 games that year. All right, so here's where we're at in the American League as you wake up this morning. The Blue Jays and Yankees are now in a tie. The Blue Jays lost again to the Red Sox, and the Yankees won again. They're boat racing the White Sox. Right now, though, Toronto has the tiebreaker. So that's why the Blue Jays are there. But look right behind them. Seattle could be the number 1 overall seed here. The Mariners, they'll play the Dodgers to wrap up the season. The Guardians now have the 3 spot. Cleveland was dead in the water. And here they are now in the postseason. And look at the Tigers are barely hanging on because the Astros are right there, just a game back in the loss column. Going to be a fabulous few days to wrap up the baseball season to see who's going to make it and who's not. And who's not are the Twins because they lost yesterday, as I mentioned, for their 90th defeat of the season. In the process, Luke Keyshaw got hurt again, so they're going to shut him down with a thumb injury. Not great news there for the Minnesota team. So that's where we're at. I know for non-baseball fans, like, well, it's football season. Let's go. I would tell you, the baseball rubes that we have, at least that work at our show, and I'm certainly one of them, and I'm in it because my favorite team is clinging. But this is fun. Flipping around last night and watching the games unfolding. Yeah, it's a long season. And by the time you get to July, you're like, holy cow, baseball's still going. And certainly now, when you've got college football ramped up and the NFL going, this weekend the Ryder Cup goes, I mean, you got plenty to divert your attention. I would tell you, find a way to invest over the next 3 to 4 days because it's fabulous. It really is. You're watching. I'm rooting for teams I had no care in the world about to try to help me out. Fun stuff there. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Thursday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Maple Grove head football coach Adam Spurrell is back with us. The Crimson are coming to Moorhead this weekend. We'll preview the matchup between Maple Grove and the Spuds coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, our guy Sam Goetzinger is back with us. Sam's got a neat story he's going to share on Bison Game Day. We'll chat about NDSU's matchup with South Dakota and his Colts being the talk of the NFL at 3-0. That's coming up at 10. And at 10:35, Craig Dahl will join us, former Bison great Mankato native, won a Super Bowl with the New York Football Giants. He played with the St. Louis Rams. He played with the 49ers, played with a bunch of teams, about getting the call heading into the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. Officially, that happens tomorrow. He'll join us at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. We are just getting started. We're glad you're joining us. Hot mic off and roll. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show off and roll. Don't forget, tonight we've got Bison Soccer for you. It's the Summit League opener for North Dakota State, the reigning Summit League champions. They'll take on Omaha. Coverage begins 6 o'clock right here on Extra. I'll have the call of that with former coach Mike Brecker. Looking forward to tonight from Dakota Field. Looks like a beautiful night for soccer. Bison going in their conference opener against Omaha. That's coming up tonight, 6 o'clock here on Extra. Okay. We've got a couple minutes here because we're going to break early because Coach Spurrell is going to join us right at 9:30 to get us ready for Maple Grove and Moorhead. Tonight, this is our uniform section, so you can roll your eyes to the back of your heads, but NFL weekend begins tonight. Cardinals are playing the Seahawks in Phoenix. And about a month ago, the NFL announced its rivalries jerseys. I think we're going to see them start this weekend. I know the Dolphins are doing theirs on Monday night against the Jets. That's fine. Battle of 0-3 teams will be dynamite television on Monday night. But tonight's game, the Cardinals are good. Cardinals are 2-1. The Seahawks are 2-1. So that's a good game. Amazon gets another good one. Arizona is debuting its rivalry uniforms tonight. Now, we didn't get a great look at them when they announced it in August. The team released it yesterday as they're practicing. And at least helmet-wise, this might be the leader in the clubhouse. This is what the Cardinals ones look like. And they're fantastic. I mean, you got the white helmet with the red Cardinal logo on it. This is top-notch. You can bring it up, Kyle, when you have a second. On the record computer. Sorry, that's all right. It's fantastic. Look at that. There's Trey McBride. These should be the regular jerseys. Make it happen. Those are way better than whatever they're doing now, especially the black garbage one they have. That right there. Do it, Arizona, tomorrow. Make it happen. Like those. Let's rock and roll. That's tonight for the NFL opener we got going on. I got an email in. Dom, have we seen the point spreads yet for this weekend? I did, actually, if you're talking about the Bison game, which this might be a bit surprising to some. Right now, according to some of the offshore betting, again, because you can't do it FCS-wise, the Bison are a 21.5-point favorite. North Dakota State is a 21.5-point favorite against South Dakota this weekend. I believe Vegas is 3 for 3 on the Bison game so far. Actually, I don't know. Maybe they missed on the Citadel. I know they got Tennessee State right. I can't remember. I don't know, Kyle, if you remember what the point spread was for the Citadel game, but Bison won by 38 there. And 2 weeks ago, they beat SEMO by 27. So I think they covered in that one, too. Under-over is 54.5 for the game on Saturday afternoon at the Dome between USD and NDSU. 21.5 seems an awful lot of points to me. I don't foresee a boat race. I think, frankly, South Dakota will be ready to go. Man, I think the Bison will be as well in this game, just knowing how the last couple of years have gone against the Coyotes, especially how last year ended. And for the guys that were on the field at the end of that game last year, I just got a sense that they're not going to mess around with this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by that much, but that would be that's a lot of points, man. South Dakota's got some pride too, and they got a senior quarterback who's gone up here and he's won before. You cannot discount what Bauman's experience brings to the table. But as I was going through my chart yesterday and prepping for the game, and we brought it up on Bison Media Zone yesterday, and we'll hammer it during the pregame show and kickoff show on Saturday. I don't think you can just lose the guys that they lost and say we're going to be fine. You just can't. And say, well, we brought in a transfer from Nebraska. We brought in a transfer from Kansas State. We brought in a transfer from North Texas, and we're just going to roll. It doesn't work like that. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are all transfers. Right? They're one guy they brought back. They had one guy graduate, Joey Lombard, who's getting a NFL or a CFL chance now, and the other 3 went in the portal. One went to Vanderbilt, one went to Cincinnati, one went to Duke. I mean, you tip your hat to all those guys. They're all going to Power 4 schools. And you lost your top defensive back. You lost your top tackler, linebacker. You lost your defensive lineman who was the player of the year in the conference. Go back. Bison fans don't need a reminder, but go back and watch the start of the game last year. Mike Heese-Grace has Gray Zabel on skates. I think Cam Miller got sacked 2 of the first 4 plays the Bison had in the game last year. How do you replace that? Thanks, Kyle. These are the guys they lost. Look at this. I mean, these are – now, you're going to graduate guys. Lombard had a great career. Travis Tice was a dynamic player for him. Carter Bell. Go back and watch the game 2 years ago in Fargo. He torched the Bison. 2 touchdowns of 50 yards or more. Charles Pierre Jr. being hurt is a big deal. Now, the Bison contained him. He was not a factor in the game in Vermilion last year. But the other guys were. Grace certainly was. Gary Bryant was out there making plays. Karan Adams, who was their other lightning bolt guy, he's at Cal now. I mean, this is tough. I know the Jackrabbit fans are out there saying, well, boo-hoo, we lost 30-some-odd guys. I hear you. And it's not like the Bison didn't lose anybody. The freshman of the year is now playing for the second-ranked team in the country, scoring touchdowns for Miami. So, yeah, he's been okay. That's goes with the territory of what we're dealing with. But I think that's a lot if you're asking Aiden Bauman to go up here and say, all right, 4 new offensive linemen that haven't played in the Dome before. That's likely what's going into what Vegas is thinking here. We'll see. I would be a 10-point deficit, sure. 3 touchdowns. Whew. Well, again, I don't know how good the Bison are. People have been asking me that all week. I've done a couple of radio interviews. Like, how good I don't know. The 3 teams they played, I don't think are very good. I think Cole Payton has played great. Yep. Defense been lights out. They haven't played a quarterback like this yet. For all of 6'8" Jack Leatherwood, who's a huge dude, is he all that great? Bauman, we know. Bauman's pretty good. And if he can get protected, if that offensive line can actually move the Bison D-line, then you're going to see L.J. Phillips get going. That, to me, is the whole key to the game. When the Bison dominated South Dakota in that playoff game, what happened? They were all over Bauman. All over him. They knocked him out of the game. They concussed him out of the game. If they can get that kind of pressure on him, then 21 points is certainly a logical, decisive victory, I would think. If they protect him, then we got a ball game. All right, we're going to break early. We come back. We'll chat some high school ball. The top game in our region is in Moorhead tomorrow night. Maple Grove and the Spuds. Crimson head coach Adam Spurrell will join us as they get to come north to take on Moorhead. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, tomorrow night we got 2 great games coming up for you here. Cheyenne and Davies to match up, that game on WDAY 2. Here on Extra tomorrow night, Maple Grove, the reigning 6A champions, will take on Moorhead. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow. You know, we talked about it when we saw the schedule, and the Spuds are moving up to 6A. Like, all right, who's going to be on it? Minnetonka's on it, Eden Prairie's on it, Edina's on it, but who's coming up here? And it turns out the reigning state champions are coming up here. We're really pumped to have Maple Grove head coach Adam Spurrell back with us. He's joined us a couple times in the past, talk about his guys that are coming up to play either at UND or at NDSU. But now his football team is coming up here tomorrow night. It's great to see you, bud. Thanks for making time. This one's been circled, I know, up here for a while. What about you guys? This is a long bus ride, longest you're going to have.
Yeah, obviously this one took some planning more with our booster program, just trying to get coach buses and trying to arrange how we're going to feed the kids and things like that. So we've also had it circled, A, for logistics reasons, but B, just knowing that they're a talented team as well.
Describe that for people on the outside. Adam, you're in 6A, you know the competition level. Moorhead fans are finding out. They saw Minnetonka. Wayzata was up here last week. What can you tell us about what this is like on a week-to-week basis that we're finding out now for the first time?
Yeah, honestly, especially in the West, I feel like the West has a lot of the teams that are loaded with talent. You definitely have to be up for every single week. You don't get any games where you're hoping for a 49-0 at half. And so it's definitely made it more of a challenge. And I would say part of it is it's just the difference in the trenches right now is probably one of the bigger adjustments. And a lot of it sometimes is just the depth of the number of guys that can dominate up front and things like that. But, yeah, it's great.
When you got word Moorhead was moving, what were your thoughts on the Spuds coming up?
I was excited for it and hoping that we'd get an opportunity to play just because of, again, through the recruiting side of it, knowing how talented of a team they actually are.
With Jet Feeney being hurt, how different is this Moorhead team? Austin Dryberg has been the starting quarterback now for the last 3 games. How different does Moorhead look on tape as opposed to what you were getting ready for when the season got going?
Yeah. I guess one of the bigger things is, otherwise, as you and I were mentioning before, this young man, Austin, he's got a talent as well. And so knowing that they've got 2 quarterbacks that are starting caliber type players, we're kind of assuming and or accounting for both of them. And so that's where I don't think it changes them a ton.
You look at Tay Rich, the kind of talent player he is that obviously the Gophers have offered him, Kansas State has offered him. What kind of tailback is he, and what kind of challenge does that provide for your defense tomorrow night?
Yeah, he runs hard. He definitely runs downhill, and he looks to be a physical back because he has finished a few runs where it looked like he should have been stopped for 3-4 yards, and he found a way to get 8, 12, even further than that. And it's like, knowing that he has the ability to make break or play big-time play abilities, obviously we got to swarm to him.
Your quarterback, for people that follow the recruiting world know, is coming to South Dakota State. Describe Caden as a player and what he's done from last year winning a state championship to have that and then come back this coming season and elevate his play from that.
Yeah. Caden, first of all, he's a super heady kid. He's a 4.0 or just about a 4.0 type student. So, and then just his ability to be able to make plays. I would make the argument, since we don't use him as often as some teams probably think he's not athletic, but he's sneaky fast. He's in our top 5 for our speed and our team. And so that's where there's a couple times he's made some breakaway type runs where it's like, we've known about his speed the whole time, but I don't think other teams have. And so, but yeah, he's got a great arm, heady kid, natural leader on the team. And so SCSU is getting a great one.
How is that recruitment, Adam, of knowing he was sought after by everybody? How was that overwhelming? I know you guys get recruited all the time, but it's different when it's a quarterback. Can you describe what that was like?
Yeah, I would say the quarterback recruiting just happens earlier, but yeah, otherwise. So this year we have about 6-7 kids that are getting scholarship or have already committed for a scholarship type offer, and so it's knowing how many schools are actually coming through our program, and the fact that a lot of these coaches are waking up right with us at 5:55 in the morning. The recruiting side has been fun, and the coaches obviously appreciate it because they know that the kid will work hard and has a commitment to the weight room and knowing that they're going to try to become the best player. But the quarterback side of it just probably gets sped up earlier than a lot of the other positions.
You have another guy that we know that's coming up here, Braden Dozier, defensive back that's going to be playing at North Dakota State next season. Give us the scouting report on him, and for people that are going to go to the game tomorrow night to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, Dozier's silky smooth. He's got great hips and has great closing speed, and can be physical when he needs to. And my only problem is teams haven't necessarily challenged him enough yet this year, and so there's times where I watch him and it's like, okay, I get where the fact that you could be bored right now because teams aren't throwing to you. But at the same point, I know he's ready, and that I'm excited for him because he's a young kid that he's going to keep getting better and better and better.
Adam, can you describe, knowing full well you guys have the big target on your back, being the state champs, playing in the top level, what kind of pressure that comes with every week of that?
Yeah, there is pressure, but at the same point, I would like to make the argument our kids are having fun doing this. So I feel like they can kind of relieve some of that pressure just in the fact of us trying to be us. And so, because last weekend we were in a nut buster where it was 6-7 or 7-6. We were down because of a missed extra point, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, you could tell that the anxiety was trying to rise, but at halftime we just calmed them down and said, this is who we are. This is perfectly fine, and just keep playing. And the guys did the second half, and so. But there is a little pressure.
Ended up winning by 26 over Edina. So what was the halftime message there?
Like I said, honestly, it was just calming them back down to realize, hey, it's okay that it's a 4-quarter game and not a blowout, and just stay our course and keep being us.
All right, I want to put you on the spot. For people that don't understand the playoff format up here, can you maybe best describe it? Because I've had people ask me, I'm like, well, you know what? We've got a coach here that lived it, because it's totally different than section football that what Moorhead is used to. It's a 32-team bracket, and everybody makes it, correct?
Right. Yeah. To me, I think the best thing that 6A has going on is the fact that it's a 32-team bracket, and it's we call it the selection day, where our kids even come in and come watch the broadcast actually happen. We bring them to one of our establishments that help sponsor us, and so they all watch it together. Where last year I happened to be on the show, so I didn't get to kids, but at the same point, it was kind of cool getting to see it right then and live. But yeah, the best part is Moorhead will get seeded in the West, and then technically from there it goes into one of 4 random brackets. And so no matter what seed you are, the best part about us being a West team is we wouldn't face another West team until the state quarterfinal. And so we can beat each other up all regular season and then hopefully not see each other till the final 8.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I followed it from afar. I love that part of it as well, that you're not going to see anybody that you know right away. That makes for a true state tournament, in my opinion.
I think the same thing. And obviously Moorhead's kind of the outlier, but otherwise it is the 31 other biggest schools in the metro. And so you have a little familiarity, but at the same point, we don't see the East or we don't see the South very often, but it's cool getting a chance to play some of those teams in an opening round game.
And also gets a team to get hot. Like Anoka last year, I think, had a losing record going into the tournament and then made it all the way to the semifinals.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think Anoka was like a 3 seed. I think they were maybe 5-3 or 6-2, but they did get hot at the right time, and they played a couple tough teams on their way to that path. And so, but yeah, that's the best part about this bracket is it's not geographical. It's kind of random.
So before I let you go, and I really appreciate you doing this, is it would you say for your team then, yeah, you want to win every Friday night, but you want to get your team going by early October, say, okay, time to start playing our best ball because then you can get going into the playoffs?
Yeah, most certainly. Because we have not played a full 48 minutes yet this whole season. And so knowing that we've beat teams by 2 scores, 3 scores, 5 scores, it's like, all right, I cannot wait until we finally do put a full game together. But we haven't done it yet, and I'm hoping that it's still on our path.
I got to ask as well, knowing you've got a bunch of guys playing college football now. Heck, Nathan Rodika, if I'm pronouncing that right, already has a couple touchdowns at UND as a freshman. I mean, just how you got to be over the moon on that, seeing a couple of your former guys already playing.
Yeah, so I chatted with Nathan, Chuck, and Michael just on Monday night, and because they're coming down for the game.
Nice.
Knowing how many NDSU guys and UND, knowing that they're all coming. We got a couple from Moorhead and Concordia Moorhead, and so we're hoping for a great crowd. But, we've got players playing all over Minnesota and the Dakotas, and so it's been awesome. We've had a great program for a long time, and it's going to hopefully continue this way.
Adam, this was great, bud. Thanks so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. Safe travels up here, and good luck on Friday. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yep, appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes, Adam Spurrell joining us. Maple Grove head football coach. The Crimson and the Spuds coming up tomorrow night, 6 o'clock on WDAY Extra for what should be a dynamite football game. And you go down the laundry list of guys, and he's mentioned it. Dylan Vocal, right? Jacob Robonik, our current NDSU freshmen that are Maple Grove alums. He mentioned the 3 UND guys, Michael Wagner. I think we had all these guys on the show. Chuck Langama and Nathan Rabanka, I'll get it right, Rodamka, sorry, are all Maple Grove dudes. Rodamka had 2 touchdowns, I believe, in UND's home opener over Portland State as a true freshman. Pretty darn cool there. It's a football factory. It's going to be dynamite to watch coming up tomorrow night. And I look at it as well on the playoff part of it, and we'll dive into this more as we get closer to it, because he spelled it out the best way you can. We're so used to section football in Minnesota because that's all we've known for covering around here that, you get to the section tournament, then you've got to win likely 3 games, and then you go to state. That's not how it works in 6A. Everybody makes it. As you heard Adam say, they have a selection show where you get seeded, and you're not playing teams in your own division, so to speak, because the Spuds are in the West Division to start. So they wouldn't play a Maple Grove or a Minnetonka or a Dinah or Eden Prairie until basically the 3rd round of the tournament. So you got a chance to get hot, a chance to get Jet Feeney back, and then take your chances. Get hot, make a run. Maybe you make a run to U.S. Bank Stadium. That's all you can ask for. Going to be dynamite to see. All right, we'll break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Got a bunch of emails coming in. Second hour coming up. Don't forget, Craig Dahl at about 10:35 will join us on the show this morning. Back on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Adam Spurrell for joining us. Maple Grove Spuds coming up tomorrow night, 6 o'clock on Extra. Looking forward to that. Got a couple minutes left here before we break. Let's get a couple emails in while we're wrapping up our first hour of the show. Also, I wanted to mention this, too, before we get to emails. The ESPN today, under its college football section, put out its September transfer portal surprises, as in guys that have arrived and excelled at their new schools. And there's usual list of guys here. There's a handful from FCS schools. Danny Scudero from Sac State, now playing at San Jose State, who is the leading receiver in the Mountain West. Rohan Jones, you'll know. First off, great name. Second off, he played for Vegan last year at Montana State. He plays at Arkansas now. He's caught 5 passes, not huge numbers through the first 4 games, but listen to what he's done with them. 41, 33, 20, 40, and 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's been an impact guy at Arkansas that should be playing for Brent Vigen and Montana State this season. That's one that stands out. There's a handful of other guys. One from Ferris State. That's Trinidad Chambliss, who plays at Ole Miss now. He was the most sought-after guy in the winter portal season, if we remember correctly. And Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin got him. The one other guy that we know Bison fans got to see up close is a linebacker at Tulsa, Ray Coney. He played at East Tennessee State, where his head coach now is Trey Lamb at Tulsa, who just beat Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. Reads, after 2 productive seasons at ETSU, Coney followed Trey Lamb and his coaching staff to Tulsa and has emerged as college football's leading tackler with 49 tackles through his first 4 games at the FBS level. 6'2", 240-pound junior, has produced 13 or more tackles in 3 games, had 9 solo tackles and a sack in the win over Oklahoma State. Again, nobody needs any reminders around here about the players at the FCS level, but I think once you see, and Marty Brown's name is not on here, which is actually kind of surprising considering what he's done at Miami so far, that the level of football around here is pretty darn good. We don't need another reminder, but, yeah, the guys playing here are awfully good. I would keep an eye on Trey Lamb, by the way. How about this guy who went from Gardner-Webb, ETSU for a year, now at Tulsa? If I'm Oklahoma State, I'm looking at that guy. He won at Gardner-Webb. They were decent at ETSU. If he beat the Bison last year, he's had a probably even bigger job than Tulsa. I think we're all agreed on that. And now he's just beat Oklahoma State, who spends quite a bit of money on football. Crazier things that happen than that. Let's get a couple emails in here before we wrap up the first hour. These are always my favorite emails to get, just self-congratulatory. Dom, just a quick note to say thank you for your coverage of our area. I initially started watching your show during the debate over the now wildly successful 3-class system for North Dakota high school basketball. Since then, I've grown to love your coverage of our regional teams. Nothing else groundbreaking to say here other than keep up the great work. Here's wishing you and yours healthy, humor, and happiness. Appreciate that. Those are the kind of emails we like to get. I get plenty of the other ones, and we read those all the time, but that's great. I appreciate you coming to the show, as many have, and that's what we want to do. We're covering not just teams in our own backyard. We got plenty around the area, as we just did. We went down to the Twin Cities to talk to a team that's coming up to this part of the world. Another here. Dom, how did it handle at home when the Jackman's Cubs beat the Mets last night? Well, he obviously can't make the end of the game, but he did ask me the score this morning, and when I told him, then the dance celebration was quite good. That's his mom's team, so he'd love to see them make it, especially if the Mets don't. And I said, buddy, if they win, that means the Mets don't. Oh, well. It was the best. Perspective is all you need this time of year, I will tell you that. Let's do a couple other. Dom, where do you get with Cal Raleigh's season, considering how good Judge has been? Well, we talked about this earlier off the top of the show on the AL MVP debate. Raleigh has 60 home runs. Let's get Judge's numbers up here for a second. It's not like he's been – because early in the year, I think Judge was the runaway MVP. Judge is hitting .328, has 51 home runs on 109 RBIs in 148 games. He missed a little bit with an injury. There's nothing to sneeze at there with how good he's been. The impact that Raleigh has had, I think, and we brought up the stat earlier. If you take him off, the Mariners still had 3 guys that have hit 25 bombs this season. It's a feel thing. And the baseball writers are a finicky bunch. They have messed this up too many times that I can care to count on who they should give the Cy Young or we make way too much of this here. I don't know if the players care as much, but this one seems like a slam dunk. Like Paul Skeens last night, the great pitcher for the Pirates, his numbers, we talked about this with Corey Provis, I think, right around the All-Star break, because the Pirates were coming to face the Twins. And his numbers are, astronomically amazing. But the Pirates have won 69 games. They're not any good. Skeens this year, because he won last night. Or actually got a no decision last night because they had to go to extras. His season, 10-10, ERA of 1.97. He struck out 216 guys with a whip of 0.95. That's a Cy Young. End of the discussion. But he only won 10 games. And I hope we're in an era now, and the nerds will love this, where you don't just look at ERA and win total, because that used to be it. Felix Hernandez changed that about a decade ago when he won it, and he only won like 13 games. That is a dominant year. He had an ERA which was 1/100th higher than last year in his rookie season. 216 strikeouts and 187 innings is ridiculous, by the way, with an ERA of that. And he got no run support. The Pirates can't score for him. And it's like the Jacob deGrom used to be with the Mets, that he always go out there, he'd be brilliant, and the Mets would score 1 or 0 runs. Could set your watch to it. Appreciate the emails on that. Last one. Dom, how much do we judge with South Dakota State's opponent this week? I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday. They have Mercyhurst on Saturday. Mercyhurst, by the way, is Erie, Pennsylvania, for those that were wondering. Newest Division I member, next to New Haven, Stonehill, Long Island, Lindenwood. I believe those are the newest members in Division I football. But they've played a heck of a schedule. They played Sacramento State 2 weeks ago and actually played the Hornets pretty tough. Last week they were in Bozeman. Now they're in Brookings. So tip of the hat to their athletic department, because they need the paychecks apparently to be playing 3 heavy hitters in FCS football. I was not impressed with the Jacks' last performance, flat out. I think Dan Jackson even said as much after the game. Let's see how they do out of the bye, knowing full well Valley play begins for them the week after that. This is a team they should roll. We'll see how it goes on Saturday afternoon. They play at 2 o'clock, I want to say, on Saturday down in Brookings. Appreciate the emails there. We'll wrap up our first hour. We come back, our guy Sam Goetzinger will join us, chat about the Bison matchup with the Coyotes, and a bunch more. That's coming up. We start hour 2 on a Thursday morning. Back after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
That was off the dome.
To the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
it's underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Way to go.
I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate, and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions?
Okay, good deal.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
You know, your guy was in here earlier this week. I didn't talk to Dave.
Dave?
You saw Dave.
I saw Dave
before
earlier.
I did.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah.
Did you talk at all about interviews and stuff like that?
No, we just. I think we're past that. I think we'll see once Moorhead.
Well,
comes
yeah,
to
you got
town.
the Dragons are back to start the calendar year. So
we'll see.
Thoughts and prayers
we'll
on
see
that
if
one.
that returns. I might sneak it back in there just to see what he thinks.
Go ahead.
See if something happens.
Go ahead and double down on that. Early question. This is actually an email waiting. Dom, can you ask Sam how Polisic was to visit with after the South Dakota game last year? I don't know if I asked you that.
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because you interviewed him right after the game.
You know,
it was brief.
I think you and Jeff talked about it. What is Coach Polisic like after a loss? And last year he was really good. I think it was more. I was more worried to interview Cam for the player of the game interview, and you could tell that he was not happy, rightfully so, with how the game went, and You tell he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he just wanted to get back with his team. But I'm trying to remember it. I don't think it was. Yeah, I was probably nervous because I didn't know where it was going to go. But I think he handled it very well, and the guys obviously moved on from that loss very well and went on to win the national championship.
Yeah, that was. Tim's been pretty straightforward. I mean, the 2 times that he's coached, the team has lost. That it hasn't been necessarily anything that has. He's not been overly distraught or anything like that. I haven't seen anything of that ilk so far. So I appreciate the email on that. Now, the way that one ended, how much of that do you think is a deal? I mean, Polisic brought it up a couple times during the press conference Tuesday of how the game ended last year as motivation for what we're going to see on Saturday.
Yeah, I asked a couple of guys when we had one-on-one availability with them on Tuesday, and you can tell that it's not the group that's going to dwell on the past. It was okay.
Well, they won the national championship
exactly.
at the end of the season.
They moved on. Ryan Jones did tell me that they looked back at it and saw what happened, and that was it. It has left a bad taste in their mouth, no doubt about that. Especially the last 2 regular season games. I just. They move on so well. There's no extra motivation needed for this game, but I don't think they're dwelling on the past.
Yeah, I'm being surprised on that, but I do think there is some juice to this, knowing,
especially for the guys that were out there.
I think on the field.
I'm sure there's a little something. They may not tell us. But if I was out there and that happened, I would be a little, ticked off.
And I think I look back to how the UND game went last year, how the game went the year before.
Yep.
There was a certain focus about that. We're not going to let this happen again. Now, South Dakota can come in here and play its best game of the year.
Yes.
Would not surprise me.
No doubt
Coyotes
about that.
have come up here and played well in the past. Would that happen this time around? That would certainly surprise me, but I mean, I look at the Bison seem like they're certainly focused after a bye week as well.
That does help.
They had 2 weeks to sit about this. I'd be really surprised they come out flat.
Well, we heard Polisic mention it at the press conference, and Kyle's been texting me about it too. That this team is improving. They're on the up and up since the tough start to the season. It's going to be their best test of the year so far, and they're better than we think they are. I think that's a fair assessment to say.
See, I've had people ask me that. Like, I'm not sure how good they are because of the competition they play.
Exactly.
Like, SEMO's not going to be very good.
Yep.
They're not going to be good. Southern Illinois routed them last week. Tennessee State may not win a game. Again, I think they've won one. I don't think they're going to win another one. Citadel won one game. I don't know how good they're going to be. So it's hard to judge how good they are. The defense has played really good. I thought they would be lights out. Cole Payton has been better than I think anybody thought so far, especially throwing the football. That is the catch-22 of this whole deal, and now with Valley Play here.
What we mentioned on Bison Media Zone the other week, they're doing what they're supposed to against these caliber of opponents. It hasn't been like it's been, it was a close game against Tennessee State. They were able to get the RPO going, or the Citadel was able to get the run going. That wasn't the case. So they look good. Is that the same conversation with USD? Can you really tell how good they are with
Well, that's a great point because South Dakota comes in here. They won 2 in a row. They frankly should have lost to Northern Colorado, and I've had Coyote fans say, well, we won the game. Okay, you needed a third down stop at the end of regulation just for UNC to set up basically a chip shot field goal. If they have 10 more seconds, Northern Colorado wins the game in regulation. And then we're talking you're 0-3.
Right.
And your only win is over Drake.
Yeah.
So the Lamar one is just a horrendous loss. Lamar you can't lose that. So that one's a head scratcher to me.
Yep.
And they lost by 50 to Iowa State. And I've maintained this. If you're a top 5 FCS team, you can't lose by 50 to an FBS team.
I maybe hold a little bit less stock in that one than you guys do because Iowa State, in my opinion, is
Iowa
really
State's good, but
yeah.
if you're a good FCS team, you don't lose by that much.
I agree. I do agree with that. So I guess we'll see. I think their offensive line is a little bit better than what we give them credit for. They've only given up one sack this year.
Better, I would say.
Yeah, and the run game is working with L.J. Phillips. So that's been a bright spot for them. Receiver wise, I don't really know what they have at the moment.
Lorenzo Feller is their only guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been good, but that's their only threat. So it all boils down to me, and I mentioned this earlier, if the Bison defensive line has a chance to get to Bauman, then it might be a long day there.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Bauman for, 4 years now, or coming up
This
on
is
4
3.
years? Yeah,
Yep.
and we've talked about it. He's not the best pocket mover, in the world, and the defensive line has been able to get home a couple of times for NDSU. So who knows? We'll see. The 21.5 point spread
That's a lot of
that
points.
is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Although, granted, I will say I think my prediction is up in that range for what we did for the newspaper this week. But I think that is a pretty large spread.
Now, you talked with Bauman, as did I, at Valley Media Day way back when in July, which feels like 8 years ago, about his decision to come back. Tell us about that, of what his thoughts were on doing this all over again.
Yeah, he was telling me that after his original intent was to not come back.
Yeah,
and
he
obviously,
walked. We had the video of it. Him walking on
exactly.
Senior Day. We were there.
We knew that. I think he knew that, okay, this is the end of it. This year's the end of it. And obviously they go on to have a historical run for South Dakota, and they go to a deep spot in the playoffs. And then that loss to Montana State is what really triggered it in his mind, where he was like, you know what, I don't think I'm done with this. He was telling me that he was back home and he couldn't enjoy Christmas with his family because he was just sitting up thinking about it. And then he made the decision that I got to come back. I'm not ready to be done with the school, with the team, and with the group of guys at the time that were coming back. And then I also asked him, what are your thoughts on how this offseason has shaken out with portal departures, graduation? And he said, you know what, we just got to roll with the guys that are there. He didn't seem too stressed out about it. Yeah, is it what he was expecting around the holidays of last year? No, but he's rolling with it. But he's a veteran of the league now at the quarterback position, and he's still a really, really, really good quarterback. But that's what he told me on why he wanted to come back to USD.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see him winning up here is a different deal. I mean, he and Gronowski have the only pedigree of doing that, and the fact do it multiple times.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I asked him too. I was, I asked everybody at Media Day, what's it like playing in the Fargo Dome? And him and Charles Pierre Jr. were the only ones to say it was fun.
Well, they have different experience than everybody else does.
Exactly. So they have that, and they said there's no secret to it. They just go out and play their game. They know they're the underdogs in most cases, and they don't let the pressure of the Dome get to them. Now, granted, what will that be this weekend? Another homecoming game?
It's funny you say that, because I was looking this morning. Tickets are almost sold out.
Good.
So that's a different than certainly was in 2023.
Yeah.
I mean, it was homecoming, but it was not a sellout. If we're at that number, we were talking about this on the BMZ yesterday. There's a different energy, I think, with Polisic bringing to these games. I think home opener had a charge with it because the banner was going up. First time to see him after playing on the road.
Yeah. SEMO crowd was good.
I think they're going to be into it on Saturday, Sam. That's
so.
different than how this game was a couple years ago.
I think
it's just a
so.
different energy with it.
And he told me that playing in the Dome back in 2023, it was a very, very complicated time for him to convey the play to everybody on his team.
Yep.
So if it's going to be bigger and louder this year, oh man, I think he's in for quite the treat.
Well, and to me, I look at if the crowd is into this, which they very well should be, and they get up to a good start, that could be a long day for we'll see.
I think so.
But if their offensive line can block for them, that's the biggest difference to me. If they can give Bauman time,
right,
which they had in 2023, he picked them apart. And the Bison defense, it was a different time for the Bison defense as well. And that's no offense to Luke Wirtz and Nick Kubitz out there. The Bison defense is faster out there, that linebacker spot. We've seen what Donovan Woolen out there flying around. We've seen that so far with what Staling has done at the middle linebacker spot. It's a different deal. But if they are able to get downhill up front, and L.J. Phillips is suddenly it's 2nd and 1, it's 3rd and 1, it's 2nd and 2 instead of 2nd
short
and 9,
yardage situations,
3rd and 8, that's a whole different deal for that offense to run.
Exactly. But the defense for NDSU, as you mentioned, has looked really, really good. And for South Dakota's offensive line, this is where we're going to find out. All right, are they good replacements for the guys that they had last year that had all-world performances, or what are they going to be for the rest of the year?
One last thing before I want to talk about what you got coming up, and then we'll break. South Dakota's defense isn't what it was last year either. You can't lose the player of the year. You can't lose your top linebacker. You can't lose your best cornerback and just say plug and play. We're going to be okay. That to me is where I think NDSU could maybe take advantage.
Look at some of the scores they allowed. That 55 points to Iowa State. They give up 21 to Drake.
Right.
3 scores to Drake.
And I think a couple were garbage time ones, but still, I'm with you. It's not a lot you can. You can't be doing that against Drake.
Same conversation about Lamar and Northern Colorado as well.
The Lamar one is just a complete
that one.
I just don't understand at all.
And you'll have that. You'll have that in a season, and we'll see if they have fully bounced back from that.
All right, what do you got working on for Bison Game Day this week?
Yeah, Inside the Hers this week is a fun one. You talked about it last week leading up to it, but the bye week was very special for senior linebacker Logan Kopp. He got married, which was really cool. So we talked to him. We talked to some of the guys in his wedding party, Jackson Duteneffer, Ryan Jones, about how the weekend went. And he told me there was about 25 to 30 guys, either current, past Bison members that were at the wedding. It was in town, and it all went really well. And we talked about how that was a good way to break up the season so far, to get into conference play, and what the challenges are in the middle of the year. And of course, he's not the only guy to have done this. He's the third linebacker now. It's a linebacker tradition. It's not just a Bison football team tradition. It's a linebacker tradition. So he was telling me that he talked to them, and they said, "All do it. It works out really well. It's not as chaotic as you think it would be." And so that's cool. And we got pictures from the wedding, which is really neat. So you'll be able to see that on Saturday morning.
Yeah, there was at least, I want to say, 3 in the wedding party, teammates of his, 4 maybe, that were actually in the wedding party, if I remember right. And
then he told me that it was, I believe it was his brother, and then the rest were teammates.
Which is a pretty neat deal. He was talking to me on Tuesday when we were up there, because I asked him, hey, how did everything go? Because they said, were your photos going to be outdoors? Like originally they were, and then we moved them inside. As I remember that vividly, of worrying about when my wife and I got married that day, that was the biggest stressor, because our photos were outside. We got married in June. That I was hounding Wheel all week. Yep. Wheel, what's the weather?
Right.
Tom, it's Monday. I don't know. Talk to me on Wednesday. All right, so I talked to him Wednesday. All right, well, it looks chance of thunderstorms. Like, Wheel, come on, man. And then Friday, I remember I texted him because I wasn't working. Like, what do you got for me? He says, it's going to be clear, and then thunderstorms are going to rumble in the afternoon. And exactly that happened. Our last photo we took, I heard rumbles of thunder.
Really?
We're over at Concordia doing our photos, and then let's go. We were all good. And so he didn't even worry about that. Cops said they moved theirs indoors.
Jackson said the pictures went really well. Jones was making sure the rings were kept track of throughout the day. So he did a good job on that. But no, it's a good story. So that'll be out on Saturday.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Let's break. We come back. We got to give some runway to brag about Danny Jones and the Indianapolis Colts, who are unbeaten. We'll chat, and you're one of the few left in the eliminator here.
I know.
Correct?
What a year it's been.
They're dropping
what
like
a year.
Flies. Great football mind over here. Back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. You know, get a lot of grief around here for the amount of time I spent on uniforms and helmets, but every other show, I'm scanning my Twitter.
Yeah.
Right now, Good Morning Football is talking about the Cardinals. Levitard's show is talking about what the Dolphins are wearing on Monday. Everybody else is doing it. Like, I don't understand why I get all the hate around
Got a bunch
here.
of old timers who don't like new uniform combos, huh? Don't like the new uniforms. I love it. Bring it on. I like seeing them.
So the Bison are wearing their all green look on Saturday. So
I think it's a slick look. I'm a fan of it.
So they have not worn their traditional look at all this season.
Good.
So the Citadel, right? They wore the gold helmet with the gold jersey, green pants.
Yes, that looked good.
And Nashville, they wore gold helmet, white jersey, gold pants. Typically, they wear green on the road.
Fair.
Then
And they had the
SEMO, they
white
wear
out.
the all white.
Yep.
And then Saturday is all green. So it's going to be at least till Southern Illinois, maybe, till they wear
Are
their
these
normal...
helmets this week? Do they still have the gold?
No, we're back to the what you have back there, the traditional
Okay,
Harvest
gotcha.
helmet
So
back there.
with the usual
Yes.
decals on there. I will say
There you go.
during the whiteout, beforehand, I was skeptical on the new uniforms. Being down there, I think my opinion has changed. I'm a fan of them.
I would only tell
I
you
think
there
it's pop.
was a couple times when the light hit them. Like,
Yes.
What
Yeah.
number is
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yep.
I got the binoculars out just to make sure, because you
And
got to have that part right.
Once you get
got
it,
to.
well, really any jersey, if you get it scrunched up, it's
Yes.
hard to see
5,
from your
8,
vantage point.
9.
Yep. I thought on TV watching back, I thought that they
looked
looked
pretty good.
they looked pretty good on there.
Speaking of looking good, you are right now with your favorite
Yeah.
football team.
This is-
First off, you always look good. But
Thank
second,
you. I appreciate
the
that.
Indianapolis Colts are
Unreal.
unbeaten, just like you predicted.
Exactly. I think at this point, if they lose out, I think my original prediction
Will
will
be
stand.
accurate?
Yeah, it will stand. This has been. I was talking about I went home during the bye week and I was talking with my dad about it, and he just looks at me. He's, well, I think they found something. I think they got something there. And it's been. I didn't get the chance to watch the game on Sunday. I was fixing my mom's car, just big handyman, and so I didn't get the chance to watch
Good
it.
for you. That's awesome.
I was looking at the score. I'm like,
Well, do you want to see the highlights?
please,
Go ahead, Kyle. You
please.
play the highlight, because Daniel Jones was amazing for Indianapolis.
I didn't even get the chance to watch the highlights
on
back.
Sunday in your favorite stadium now at Nissan Stadium in Nashville.
I'm glad they could go down there and just put a tear on.
Against the Titans, and the fact they ran up and down the field on Tennessee. And I mean, Jones again has just been sensational.
Yeah, just
I thought I put the tape in here.
unreal. Oh, we don't have the highlights. That's all right.
Well, here it
I'll
is.
watch it
Here
back.
it is.
I'll watch it back.
It'll get there in it'll be
okay.
there in 30 seconds for you to enjoy. But our guy,
Regardless, I think Daniel Jones. I mean, there's
first
been.
off, former Viking great. Let's always make sure you get that.
How did you
in
guys
there.
let him go? I can't believe it. Now look at you.
Yeah.
Although Carson did look good.
Carson was pretty good.
Carson was good. I think Daniel Jones, if he can put together a 10-win season, or if he can do what he's doing now for 13 games, at what point is he the MVP?
Whoa,
front
we're
runner?
3 games in
I don't
here,
care.
buddy boy.
I don't care. Let's say he
Well, you
keeps
got
it up.
Cam Ward throwing to the wrong team will help you
Wow,
out.
that's just how good the defense is. The defense has been phenomenal. I think you can say everything
Here's
about.
the thing I didn't know. They did not have a punt until the third quarter.
Yeah.
All season, they had not punted.
They went 7 for 7 scoring on their first 7 drives of the year. And then I believe it
Look at
ended
Nimble,
on a
Daniel
turnover
Jones
on downs.
there.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
This is the most prolific offense in the league, and I don't think there's a debate on that. Rigoberto Sanchez hasn't gotten a lot of playing time.
Oh, that's the punter.
That's the punter, and I think everybody's okay with that. They look really good. I tell you what, when I was growing up, you could flip on any sports show, and you would never hear a word about the Colts.
What are you talking about? They had Peyton Manning.
Never. Even when they had Peyton Manning, they never
Are you
talked
kidding
about
me?
it. I know. I swear.
I totally disagree.
I swear.
The Colts are on TV all the time.
No.
You're-
Even when they
you're-
were
you're-
just
you're
in the
li- you're talking to
heyday,
a
no
Jets
one would
fan.
talk about it. No one would talk about it.
Oh, that's
Now you turn
baloney.
on the TV and they're everywhere, and it's awesome. Jump on the Colts bandwagon now. They're good. The defense is fantastic. That's been a driving force.
Well, and that guy's been healthy, too. Jonathan Taylor running all over guys has been
I think if he keeps
helpful.
it up, he's in the MVP conversation too. Daniel Jones is the
3
comeback
games
player
in
of the
here.
year. I'll tell you that much.
Comeback?
Mid-season awards. Yeah, he was a practice
What is
squad.
he coming back from
The
what?
practice squad. Getting
I don't think
benched.
that worked because our guy Darnold
cut.
should have been the comeback player. They wouldn't let him because he was in the same boat
Fair.
last year.
Fair. I think they're Super Bowl
man.
contenders, folks.
Wow.
It's
Well,
happening.
all right, well,
it's happening.
let's
Well, if they
see.
don't win the
They play
division
the
at this
Rams
point, if they
here.
don't win the division, then it's a wash. You just give up everything because
Well,
this
right now
division
you
is
have
horrible.
2 0-3 teams in there.
So
'cause
bad.
The Texans are 0-3.
So bad.
The Titans are 0-3.
What are the Jags doing this
and the
year?
Jags. What's Jacksonville record? 1-2 or
1-2.
2-1?
I think so. They
Have you
beat
clinched the division
Carolina.
yet?
They have to. If they beat if Rams this week, if they beat them, I think you got to give them the okay. They got it. Rest
All
of the
right.
way.
Well, we got
playoff team.
Rams are a 3.5 point favorite at home.
Daniel Jones is going to break a ton of NFL records this year. It's happening. It's happening.
Oh, man. All right, we got to roll. Great stuff as always, bud.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to your story coming up on Saturday, and we'll be ready for the game. Don't forget, early start. It's a 1 o'clock start on Saturday.
That's okay, though. Then it saves 2 hours of roaming around the dome waiting for everybody to come in. So I'm okay with that.
Thanks for coming by, bud.
Absolutely.
Sam will be on the call tomorrow. You got Cheyenne and Davies tomorrow, right?
Dakota Bowl rematch.
That'll be all right.
I think I've gotten down watching where the ball is on the Davies offense, so we got that going for us.
So who's your mind contenders now in 3A? You've seen a bunch of teams so far.
Shanley is up there. Davies, Legacy. Am I missing one? I
Horace?
think Horace as well. Horace as well. So those are my top 4
okay.
right now.
right.
I would say I haven't seen Shanley yet. I'm really
teams,
curious to see what Shanley's like. If they're like what they were a couple of years ago when they were in the
rolling
Dakota
right
Bowl.
now.
Yeah, but I think Legacy's the front runner out of the West right now.
Would you be stunned if it's anybody but Kindred and Minot North in the Dakota Bowl in the 2A division? Because right now
I don't know. What do you think about Grand Forks Central? I haven't seen them yet.
They've been good.
Yeah, they've been good, but it
seems like a two-horse
not Kindred.
race right now.
Yeah. I would be a little surprised, but anything can happen.
So Sam will be on the call tomorrow night, Cheyenne Davies, and we'll see him on the sideline Saturday for the Bison in South Dakota.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming by, bud.
Absolutely.
He joins us each and every Thursday at 10 o'clock. We'll break. We come back. The newest member of the Bison Hall of Fame class, Mankato's Craig Dahl, will join us on getting the phone call and a 10-year career in the National Football League. That's coming up. We come back. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic, final half hour. We mentioned off the top with it being homecoming weekend for North Dakota State, it is also Hall of Fame weekend. One of my favorite events to cover tomorrow is the Hall of Fame banquet, where the 2025 class will be unveiled and officially inducted. They'll be honored at halftime of the game Saturday when the Bison take on South Dakota. One of the inductees joins us this morning, a dynamite player in his time with the Bison before heading off to the National Football League, where he won a Super Bowl with the New York Football Giants. I try not to hold that against him as a Jets fan, but we welcome on Mankato's own Craig Dahl to the show this morning, who joins us before he hops on a plane to get up here from Dallas. It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations. We were just visiting off air. The last time you saw a Bison football game inside the Fargo Dome was when?
2019, I believe Trey Lance was the quarterback. Yeah, it's been a minute. But living in Dallas, though, I get to see quite a few of the national championship games, so I'm no stranger to that. But unfortunately, they're continuing on in Nashville, so I'll have to do some traveling now.
All right, give us the backstory. Who called you about the Hall of Fame?
Coach Polisek gave me a call earlier this year. Yeah.
Describe that, getting the phone call, and what that moment was like for you.
You know, I saw my phone. I was actually driving a tractor. We have a ranch that's 30 miles outside of Dallas, and I spend a lot of my time out there. And I was on the tractor cutting some hay, and I looked down at my phone. I just happened to see it ring or hear it ring, and I looked down, and it's Coach Polisek, and I was like, well, I wonder what he wants. Picked it up, stopped the tractor, picked it up, and he broke the news to me. I was shocked. Couldn't believe it.
So you get that. Who's the first phone call after that, after he calls you to tell you what's going on?
I called my wife and then talked to my parents and a few buddies after that. So.
Describe that emotion of finding out that you're going to be honored with the all-time greats in Bison athletic history.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an honor. I was, not expecting it at all. Just came out of nowhere, and to get that news and I was elated from it.
Your team, especially that 06 team, that was my first year in Fargo. That team, I don't want to say, hopefully is not forgotten with all the amazing success, Craig, that has come after it. But you guys were right there, your early years of the Division I era. For people that either don't know or forgot it, take us back of what those early years of Division I football were like.
Yeah, I remember being recruited to NDSU, and they had announced the move from Division II to Division I. And there was just a lot of unknowns, what our conference affiliation was going to be. We're, coming off of 2-8 the year before I got there in 2002. We hired a new head coach, Craig Bull. a lot of the guys that came in that '03 class were recruited by Bob Babich and his staff, but a lot of them stayed with the program, knowing the tradition of excellence, the core values, and what the challenges ahead were going to be.
Getting up here from Mankato, how much did you know about North Dakota State football when you got up here?
I got a firsthand look. My brother was a year ahead of me and was a member of the Bison football program as a walk-on. So I got an inside look of what the program was about, what the locker room was, and what the culture was. So
getting out for your first game, just that transition. Nobody knew. What was it like as players of we don't know what FCS football is like or 1AA football. What was that like on a week-to-week basis of who you were playing?
Yeah, I mean, teams we had never heard of before, down in Texas and Mississippi, and just teams we knew nothing about, and that was interesting. We prepared as if we were going to play our Super Bowl every week, and not knowing what to expect, and a lot of programs that had already been established in that league.
Tell me about your senior year and why '06 was so special, the success-wise, but for you personally, why that season stands out.
It was a big focus of our program. We scheduled a game against University of Minnesota, and I think we had 30 some guys on the roster were from the state of Minnesota. And growing up in that state, that was one of the schools I looked at and wanting to attend to. Things didn't work out, and I'm glad they didn't work out. And my path led me to North Dakota State, but a lot of those guys, were probably overlooked by programs like that, and it was just kind of like a revenge game. Although we came up short, but we went toe-to-toe with them, and then the following year they came down there and handed one to them.
I got to ask, but going out there that day at the Metrodome and looking out, as a Minnesota kid, what was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was special. It was definitely special. I had played in a high school playoff game there before, and been a fan of the Vikings, and been to plenty of games, and hearing the crowd noise and seeing all the Bison supporters. I think we outnumbered the University of Minnesota supporters at that game by a large margin. It really felt like a home to us.
There are two other games I want to talk about that season. The first one is the Georgia Southern game. Of going there, you guys dominated that game against a team that dominated that division. What did that do for confidence-wise? You went on the road and won by 20 down there.
Yeah, playing teams like that, I mean, it builds a lot of confidence. Going down there into a climate that we're unfamiliar with. I mean, the southern states have a lot different climate. Now that I live in Dallas, I understand it, but the climate-wise, and Jim Kramer and the coaches prepared us all week to stay hydrated, stay on top of, preparation, not just mentally and at practice, but outside of that with our conditioning and stuff like that. So we were prepared for the game, and going down there and coming out with a win gives you a ton of confidence that you can compete at that level.
That following 2 weeks later, I think it was, or later in the season, you guys had the crazy comeback at Davis. You're down 24-0 at halftime. Do you remember what Craig Bowles said to you guys, if anything, at halftime of that game?
I mean, I remember the defensive coordinator coming in there and basically ripping up the call sheet. He goes, "We're going to play two defenses, and we're going to stop them. We're not going to do this extravagant stuff," because they had caught us off guard, and a few guys missed assignments. We just weren't playing tight together. Yeah. And we ripped it up and basically just went back to the basics. And, we chipped away at it. Offense was able to come up with some points and make some key plays. And then, we capitalized on our opportunities on defense.
To beat the Jacks in your final game, win the marker, and you've seen obviously what the marker game has become. You were there in the early stages of it. How big a deal was that for your final game here?
Yeah, it was great to culminate that season with the championship in the Great West Conference. I mean, and playing a rival like South Dakota State, it's we missed the rival. I was privy to it my freshman year. We had the Nickel Trophy with University of North Dakota, but establishing a new rivalry with South Dakota State, is grown into a huge game for us now.
All right, tell me, you got the speech done? Are you nervous? Tell me about this for tomorrow.
I'm nervous. I'm excited. Definitely eager to get back and see some familiar faces and get together with some old teammates and friends. But yeah, the speech is pretty much wrapped out.
How long did it take you to write it?
Oh, not long. couple months.
What do you think? Yeah, the emotion on Saturday, being out there singularly recognized at halftime, what's that going to mean to you?
I mean, I'm one that shies away. I don't like the spotlight on me. It's I appreciate the honor. I'm definitely humbled by it, and to be considered an all-time NDSU great is a dream of mine from the moment I set foot on campus. So it's going to be a great.
You got to play as long as you did in the National Football League. Obviously, your rookie year, I have to imagine now you look back at it. Is it bittersweet? You played, you got hurt, and the Giants won the Super Bowl. How do you look back at it now, Craig, from your rookie year?
It was definitely a big change. Stepping into a locker room with some greats like Eli Manning, Michael Strahan,
yeah.
Jeremy Shockey, Plexico Burris. I mean, David Tyree. The list goes on. Just stepping into that locker room, I was just in awe. Watching these guys on TV every day and competing day after day. And trying to just build confidence in myself that I belonged there and I deserve a spot and I could help the team out in any way I could.
What do you remember about that first year of playing and saying, hey, we have a team that could beat, because you played the Patriots the final game of the regular season?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the season starting off not so strong for us. I mean, we got handed it too the first two games in some tough losses. And then we got a key fourth down goal line stand in the third game that won us the game. And then from there on, you could just see guys continuing to buy in, the locker room growing closer, guys feeding off each other and just, performing to the level that they were capable of and capturing these opportunities. And I mean, that team went on to win 11 straight road games, which is
crazy.
It's very hard to do, extremely hard in the NFL. But, watching that team go on into the playoffs, making that deep run, I think you're right with that final regular season game against the Patriots, where they were undefeated and there was question whether they were going to sit their starters or play them. They ended up playing them, and we took them toe to toe in the fourth quarter. So we had the confidence from that game going into the playoffs. If the Giants were to see them again in the playoffs, we could stack up with them.
Toughest guy you ever covered in the NFL, who was that with? Or hardest guy maybe to tackle was who?
Oh, Adrian Peterson, probably the hardest guy to tackle. I mean, there's a handful of them. One of the hardest guys that I got most frustrated with was Calvin Johnson in Detroit, where I thought I had two or three really good plays on the ball where you knew it was coming to him, and he just is so big and strong and jumps high and was able to make the play on it. And Matthew Stafford, still playing to this day, throws a great ball and puts it right in place for him. So
I don't know how to feel about this. We're watching video you're playing. It looks like this video is like from 2001. It's not that long ago, man, but the video looks all grainy. I don't know why it's so crazy on that. I have to ask, you weren't the first guy from NDSU to go to the NFL, but you see now where there are 20 guys from NDSU that are on NFL rosters. You were one of the first out of the Division I ranks to do it. How much of a pioneer do you feel that I can come from an FCS school and make it to the National Football League?
I mean, I always wanted to push myself as far as I could go. I knew NDSU gave me an opportunity to put myself on that platform. And like anything, the scouts and the technology and the communication these days they have access to, they will find you no matter what leagues you're in, no matter what your talent level of competition is, they will find you. If you have the talent, they will find you. And then it becomes up to you if you want to put in the work. And, some guys get all the opportunity in the world. The higher draft picks will get all the opportunity in the world, but there's plenty of free agents out there that get picked up and put on rosters and become valuable, integral parts of teams.
I got to ask, you got to tell the story of your combine visit and your record setting. Was it in the 3-cone or the shuttle? I can't remember.
The 60-yard shuttle.
60-yard shuttle. You tell us about your performance there and how that got the scouts' attention.
Yeah, well, I was a little disappointed in my 40 time. I had run a better 40 than that, and I came back and did. But the last event they had at the combine was a 60-yard shuttle. It's somewhat of a skills shuttle, somewhat of conditioning, and if they're going to put a competition and put a timer out there, I'm sure as heck going to try to win it. So that's what I set out to do.
And you had the fastest time ever recorded, correct?
I'm not sure exactly on that, but I think it was the fastest time of the combine at that particular year.
So how much did that change your profile? Like your agent telling you, okay, there's teams now ready to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any one specific thing that changed the profile, but I think it's the whole resume of, playing, in some of these bigger games now that we had the Division I competition and, performing at the pro day and the combine and being out in front of these scouts and getting the film out there.
How eager are you to just come back, enjoy? I know you're going to be pulled in like 8 different directions this weekend, but come back and watch a game on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be great. I can't wait for the atmosphere. The weather looks fantastic, even though the game's played inside. But I can't wait to see Bison Nation and get in the Fargo Dome again.
Last thing, I know you got to catch a plane here. I asked Polisic about this on Tuesday. That was his first year. What he remembered about you. Let me flip it. What do you remember about Tim? That was his first year in Fargo in 2006.
I remember that voice. You could hear it clear as day across the field. His passion and his energy that he brought day in and day out was unmatched. And, I'm sure he continues that with his players today and the team today. So
was that the same on the phone when he called you about the Hall of Fame? Did it just ring? Did the memories come flooding back?
Oh, exactly. Once you hear that voice, it's just ingrained in your mind. Yeah.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Safe travels. I'll see you up here tomorrow, okay?
I appreciate it, Dom. Take care.
Great to see you, bud. There he is, Craig Dahl, now a newly minted member of the Bison Athletic Hall of Fame. He'll officially go in tomorrow after a dynamite career, both with NDSU and, of course, in the NFL. Look at that video, by the way. Kyle was just mentioning to me off air that he used Craig in Madden, which is fantastic. Again, that last piece of video is from 2007. It looks like it's from 1995. I don't know why, but great career. Guy that tore both of his ACLs in back-to-back years, persevered through that, ended up playing over 120 games in the National Football League, and honestly he was the first in the Division I run out of NDSU to go and play. Joe Mays followed him. Nick Schomer followed him after that because the Bison had draft picks. Then Paul Kornick, then Billy Turner, and then you're off and rolling to where we're at now. Craig was at the forefront of that, and he'll be honored tomorrow and on Saturday. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll get you ready. We got a great Sports Thursday on tap, especially if you're a baseball fan. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps right after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, wrapping things up here on this Thursday morning. Tomorrow, it's Friday. We got picks with my dad coming up. Corey Provis will join us from Philly. Twins are heading there after they wrap up their series with Texas this afternoon for 3 games that likely are anticlimactic that the Phillies are going to be the number 2 seed. But that's coming up on the show tomorrow. And, of course, we'll get you ready for a dynamite high school football weekend. We already previewed it a little bit with the Maple Grove Moorhead game today. Much more on that coming up on the show tomorrow. News out of Montana to pass along. Remember, sports betting is legal there. Novel idea. Hello, North Dakota, Minnesota. The line on the Grizz game, Montana and Idaho, is the other Spotlight FCS game coming up Saturday night besides the game here in Fargo. The Grizz were, earlier in the week, on Tuesday, were favored by 6.5. The line is now moved to 10.5. Something happened there that the bettors or Vegas sees Montana, they see North Dakota as a better opponent than Idaho. UND, I believe, the line closed, I think, 2.5. And obviously that bore out. Montana won by 1 over UND. They see UND as a better team than Idaho. Just put it out there for people to digest that. For whatever betting lines are worth. We'll see how it plays out Saturday night in Missoula for that one. All right, before we go, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, we mentioned it earlier. We've got soccer for you tonight here on Extra. The Bison Summit League opener at Dakota Field. I'll be on the call this one, 6 o'clock. North Dakota State and Omaha on what should be a beautiful night. See if the Bison can get on off the schneid. They have not scored a goal their last 3 matches. That's gone up 6 o'clock tonight on Extra. Also tonight, of course, we've got the start of Week 4 of the NFL season. Seahawks and Cardinals. Good one out in the desert. 7:15 on Amazon Prime. I'll be using the rapid recap to get caught up on that when I get home tonight. Twins of the Rangers coming up this afternoon. Just because we need afternoon baseball in our lives. That's on Twins TV at 1:30. And one good college game tonight. Army, East Carolina, 6:30 on ESPN for that one to get you ready for the college football weekend. We got to go. Our thanks to Adam Spurrell, to Sam Goetzinger, and to Craig Dahl. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for making part of your day with us. Each and every day we do it from 9 to 11. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.